Anna from Evoker, and in today's tutorial we'll be creating the boot for our character. I'm going to start by zooming into the front, and in our polygon selection we're going to select these areas on the foot. So again, we're only going to work on one side and we'll mirror over, and I'm going to scale these up ever so slightly. Just so we can get the clone part of mesh dialog to come up. So we want to clone to object, we'll name it boot, and hit OK. Now we clone to object so that it comes up as its own separate object here in the boot, and is separate from the body file. So we can freeze our body now, and we can work on our boot. So I'm going to change the color of the actual mesh as well to differentiate it further from the body. So I'll do that by double clicking on this green square next to the mesh name, and then I'll just select a color. I might add a custom color, that's what I'll do. So I can create a darker brown so it sits with the theme of the body that of her color textures. We'll add color, so that shows up here in our custom colors palette. So we'll click that and hit OK. So now our mesh goes that color. And in our modifiers tab, we need to add a modifier that will help us to push our mesh out. So when we scale, you can see that it's scaling up from this point, but it's doing it in a uniform manner, so it's not sitting on top of our mesh anymore. So I'll undo that. Even if we tried using one of these other options, it'll still do the same thing. If we changed our pivot point to the center of our object, again, it'll still be doing the same thing. So it goes up and down, or you don't get as much side scale as we would need to create our boot. So in order to push this off the mesh, I guess would be the best way to describe it. So it scales out in every direction. What it'll do is we'll scale basically along the normal of our boot. So okay, so the push modifier will push along the normal of the boot. The normal is basically telling us is a way for Max to say which way of the face is forward. If I convert this to an editable mesh, and I select my element, and I go down here, I click show normals, you can see the normals of the object that we are working with. So I'll scale that down a little bit so it's a little bit less confusing. But each one of these little blue lines is the normal of that face. Okay, so for each quad there are two, because there are two triangles making up that quad. So each triangle has its own normal. So the push modifier will basically scale these edges, these faces along that normal. So it'll push it out along that normal, so that it keeps the shape of the actual boot that we've created. So I'm going to convert that back to an editable poly. Then I'm going to go to modifier, and I'm going to go down to push, and to apply the push modifier here. And in the push value down in the parameters rollout, I'm just going to scale that up, or pull that up. So just clicking and dragging up to push out the boot. So you can see how it's moved along the normal on each of those faces to create. Go to X-ray mode, you can see that in the front, it'll be easier, we can see. You can see that this is scaled out along the normal of the face, so that it is keeping the shape of the boot and the underlying leg. So I might scale that up to a bit more, to about 0.5 should be about enough, and then I'll collapse that down to apply that to the mesh. Now, using the push modifier has, if we move down here, you can see that it's pushed down the base of the shoe as well, so that's knocked all of these off the floor, so it's now going through the floor of the object, so we want to put that back up. So just in the Z, make sure they all hit 0 for each one of those vertices around their base of the foot. You can try doing them all together, but it tends to do it as an average, so you can see the ones that we changed before are no longer on the floor. So we can just do that. Another one is we can convert that to polygons, and we'll deselect those edges there just by holding Control and Alt and dragging around them. And then I'll go down to Make Planner on the Z. So that pulls everything down into the Z axis, and then I can grab my move and make sure that is 0 on the Z axis there as well. So now we're sitting on the ground plane and we're not cutting through. Okay. Now we need to make this look a little bit more like a boot. To do that, we need to reshape it somewhat so the ankles won't be as pronounced in a boot. So we'll bring that out. Same with the bottom of the foot here. So just shaping the boot a little bit to be more like the concept that we've been given. So a bit more straight up and down. So just moving that to the side so I can keep that open for reference as I'm working. So we still want to keep the underlying shape of our leg as well, obviously, because boots do follow the leg. But again, still trying to make it a little bit more like the concept, so a bit more up and down. And again, in the side view, that's pretty good with the shape there. We may bring it back off the heel a little bit more, just a fraction. And round out that heel a little bit as well. So I'll bring that in a little, just to give it that nice rounded shape down from the calf into the base of the foot. Now you'll also notice too, we're creating this, our body mesh, that she was in her underwear and she had no shoes on. So that means that the grip of the shoe, the sole of the shoe, would now, as when we build it, will go down through the ground. In order to compensate for this, we will, once we're finished building the boot, we will lift our character up so that she sits on the ground plane again, so that her feet don't cut through the ground when she starts to walk. Okay. Now in the concept as well, you can see that her toe is quite square, so we might square off the toes just a little bit. So just by bringing that forward and out a little bit. We want to leave this where the bend is in the foot, so we'll just leave that there as much as we can, and we'll scale this out a little bit just to square off that toe. So I'm just bringing this up again to flatten out the top of the shoe a little bit as well. So just slightly adjusting some of these verts to flatten off the area. Okay, so we'll have a look again at our overall shape, and that's starting to look a lot better, like the shoe in our concept. I might bring this out again, squaring off this toe. Okay. So most of our detail in our boot will be done in texture, so like the laces and things like that. So we're just getting the shape at the moment. So we'll grab now the bottom of our shoes, since we've already got it selected as well, and we'll drag down for, whoops, I'll undo that because that's not what I intended. I wanted to extrude, not clone. So we'll grab the extrude and we'll bring that back up a little bit just to create the sole of our shoe. So I'll make it a little bit thicker. Since she is an archaeologist, she'll be walking around rocky terrain and whatever during her the course of her job. So we want to give it a bit of a thickness to make it look like it's a bit of a work boot. Now we'll also grab this ring here and we'll convert that to polygons. And again, we will bevel this one, not just extrude. So we will grab our bevel and we'll zero out each one of these. Before we'll do that, actually, we'll reshape the sole of this a little bit. So we'll bring this out a little bit. Yep, that's better. Alright, so now we'll go back to our polygon selection and we'll grab our bevel again. And it's remembered our settings, so we don't need to redo that again. So this time we'll there we go. Extrude by local. So just changing this setting here to local. And then we'll bevel it down a little in a bit. So we're giving it thickness. So we bevel it so that when we create our normal map, there's geometry for the normal process to work with. So if we did it straight, so it was at 0, when we created our normal map, it wouldn't read the depth as well as it would if we put that small bevel in. So it tends to read the depth better if we put that little bit of an edge on the bevel. Not that much. That should be enough. And then we'll just hit OK there. And we can have a look and we can see that our boot is looking like a boot. So now what we'll do is in our front viewport, we'll grab both our body. We'll turn off our image layers, we don't need that anymore. Grab both the body and the boot, So we'll unhide all of our character, we'll select it all, and then we'll hit Control G. No, I'm going to do that. We'll group our character. Just call it Selena and hit OK. Then we're going to affect our pivot only, and we're going to align to world, and then we're going to, in the Z axis, we're going to hit 0 and stop on our affect pivot so we can start to move these things around. So now that everything is grouped in one, we can go right in tight and we can lift her up so that the bottom of the shoe sits back on the bottom of the world. Okay, so now we've done that, we can go to group and ungroup, so everything's back in its separate by itself. So it's no longer in a group, and we can hide everything that we don't need right now. And work back on our boot. We can go into vertex mode, and we'll make sure that all of these vertices at the base of the foot, so all of these ones here, are on 0 on the Z axis. There we go. Now that we've got everything sitting flush, we'll go up to the top of the boot and we will bring these back into more of a straight. So just selecting them all and scaling them so it's just a straighter across the top. We don't want it to be dead straight, so we'll adjust this in the center, but we do want something easier to start with. So we'll do that. That looks about okay. And back with our move tool again, we want to bring these down a little, I think, just fractionally, just to put a slight curve into the boot. And from the side, we'll bring this down a little. I'll bring it up, so, and then bring the back of the boot just up fractionally so it's on an angle, so it starts to look a little bit more natural. Again in the front. Excellent. So now we'll grab the top of that edge again, and using our scale tool we'll extrude an edge, holding shift in towards the center of the leg. Not all the way, we just want to hit it, have it sitting on the mesh underneath, because we'll join that later. But for now we want it to get in as close as we can. Just like so. So we have our first boot. We'll grab our element again, and we'll assign everything its own smoothing group, but we want to keep the hardness between the upper sole of the boot and the sole. So we'll select this ring and we'll convert it to polygons and apply, just like we did with the brow, we'll apply different smoothing groups, so clearing that and applying 2. And we'll select the bottom of the shoe as well. So I'm just going to use the select object rather than the move in case I accidentally move something. Again, clearing that and making it 2. So there we go, we've got, gives it a harder edge. what we might do to create a little bit more of an interesting silhouette is we'll bring these up, the heel up ever so slightly. So we'll go into the side view. So instead of making it just a flat boot, we'll go into the side view, grab the back heel end area, and we'll lift that slightly. Just to put a small heel on it. There, of course, we'll have to go in and adjust this a bit. So we'll bring that up. Again, showing where the arch is at the same time as creating the heel. And we want to do it on this side as well. So we'll bring that up to taper that down into the ball of the foot. So I'm just using a foot reference of a boot that I found online. Just to show the sort of thing that I'm thinking of. So I'm not going to make it as deep as that one, but that's what I'm doing. I'm using this as a reference, and I'm having a look, and I'm building this to suit the reference and the concept. So I'm going to go into the polygon. I'm going to grab the back heel part, including this small bevel, and I'll extrude that. I'll hit OK, and we'll go down again to make planar on the Z so that it sits flat, and I'll make sure that is on the Z again. So just giving it a slight heel to lift it up off the ground and to give it a bit of a profile. So just going through and fixing up some of these. Now we can grab our target weld tool. I'm just going to simplify some of the geometry around the edge here, because we don't need the bevel at the bottom. We only needed the bevel to separate the top of the shoe to the sole. So we'll go in. I'll go in and I'll get rid of the bevel. Okay. Okay, so that's looking a little bit better. Gives our foot a little bit more interest to it. Just going to apply the smoothing group to this heel, so making sure that it's the same as the one at the top. So just clearing that and applying one to all of them. I'll make this one 3 so that it's different from the sole and the base of the shoe and the rim. I'm just going to apply one here as well, just so I can get that cut. So again, I'm going to grab these vertexes here and I'll make planar on the Z so that they're all on the same, and making sure that it's 0 on the Z plane as well. Same with the heel, making planar in the Z and zeroing that down. So lift this up a little bit. So just shaping the foot a little bit more. Okay. So bring the toe forward a bit more on this to align with the concept, so it's quite a square toe. We don't want to make it completely flat. Because having a slight curve in it tends to make it look a little bit more natural. Just going to pull these out a little bit more. So we don't want the Achilles heel tendon to show through the boot. We do need it to be a little bit more narrow at this end, but not that narrow that it looks like the tendons of the foot are showing through the boot. So again, looking at the highlight and the shadow as I move these things, move the verts around. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Again, just checking all of the angles to make sure that we've got a nice curve going on. And we can see this edge here by this angle that it's a concaved face. We want to change the edge on that to make sure make it look a little bit more smooth. So we'll go turn and we'll flip that edge to go around. So there, see how the silhouette changes. Same with this side. No, it's probably best to keep that one like that. There we go. Excellent. So we're going to grab this ring up here as well and convert it to So this is just for visual reference at the moment. More often than not, when we go to create our normal map, we'll have to get rid of all of these anyway, otherwise it causes funny edges. Okay, so that's looking very bootish, so that's great. We've got one boot done. We can affect our pivot, and again 0 on the X. We'll reset our X form and throw a symmetry on so we can see the two of them together.